This is the challenge we need to solve. We have the list of countries and we have the list of randomly shuffled capital cities. So what we need to do is when we press USA, we should match it with the Washington DC. And we have our first match. Nice. So now when we match all the cities, we are getting the you win message. Let's see how to solve this one. We have our Next.js ready. So first thing, I'm going to remove everything by default from Vercel. And here I'm going to put the background color to gray 100. Also from the global CSS, I'm going to remove all the CSS that comes by default with Next.js. And now everything is ready. So I can create the components folder, and inside I'm going to create the city matcher component that we are going to use for our game. There I'm using the snippets for creating the functional component, and here we can put for now just city matcher and call it inside our page file. We can remove the image, that one is not needed anymore. So here I'm going to put city matcher component. There it is, we can see it. Now I can close this one and I'm going to open the city matcher component. We're going to work here. Everything is going to be written in this component and we can start. This component is definitely going to be client component because we are going to use hooks. And now what we need is to define our single piece of data. So we are going to create interface and call it match. And inside we are going to have country, which is going to be a string, and also the matching capital of that country, which is going to be a string also. So now we are going to call the pre-matched data. When I say call, I mean this should probably come from some kind of backend and not be hard-coded like this. So for now, I'm going to put the prepared data that I have already with 5 countries, but we are going to place a to-do to get this data from the backend. We can do that in another iteration, in the next video maybe. For the purpose of this video, there is nothing wrong with using the hard-coded data. So now let's go through that data and put buttons for each country and for each capital. To do that, I'm going to go through the pre-matched data to map through that array and get each match and index. Then I'm going to put a button and just write down match.country. For the key, I'm going to use the index from here. I know that is wrong, but currently we don't have any backend. We would otherwise put ID. Also, the country is unique, so we could have placed the country also, but this is okay again for the purpose of this video. We have now our countries listed, but that's not looking good. So I'm going to wrap this pre-matched data into one div, and there I'm going to put flex and flex column. So now we broke apart our buttons and we need to style them a little bit. So I'm going to put background gray 500 and then rounded. Here we need a little bit of gap, maybe 3 or too much, 2 is good. Then we're going to put padding on sides of 4 and 2 up and down. That one is already looking much better. So I'm going to put text white and font bold, and now it's looking nice. Now we can add a little bit of hovers. Let me just break this line. So if you think that Tailwind is looking bad and your line is too long, I usually break it like this, then it looks a little bit normal, more normal. So for hover, I'm going to put gray 700 like this. And also I'm going to put some scale, little bit. Let's try like this. This is maybe too much. 105 should be better. Okay. And animation for this, so it looks nice. I'm going to put transition is in and duration of 300. So now it's looking much better. Nice. Now I'm going to do totally the same thing like this and just copy it, and instead of country I'm going to put capital, but here we are going to put class name of flex and gap of maybe 5, and there it is. Now we have countries versus capital cities. So only thing here is we need to shuffle these cities to be randomized, so it's not easy like this, like USA, Washington, UK, London. Like this, it's always ordered like the pre-matched data that we have here. So I'm just going to create a simple shuffle array function, which is going to receive the matching data array, which is going to be match interface, but bunch of matches. And inside, we are just going to return the matching data slice. So we are using slice here to create the new copy of the pre-matched data in our case, so we don't get everything shuffled up. Then we are using sort, and inside we are just going to call mat random minus 0.5. And this one should, what is it complaining here? Slice, so we need to put this one here. Now we need to create our first state, and we're going to call it shuffled match data, set shuffled match data, and that one is going to use state react hook, and it's going to be type of match, bunch of matches like this. And now we need to use effect to set that shuffled match data to our, what we called it, shuffle array, and then pre-matched data like this. Did we call the use effect? Yes, it's complaining because we don't have these brackets here. And now we can just use the shuffled match data here instead of the pre-match data. So let's test it out. It's already shuffled. So if we refresh, it's doesn't okay. So first thing we should call pre-match data like this. Okay. So now when we refresh, it's always shuffling our data, and that's definitely what we wanted. So now it will not be that easy. I mean, we still have some cases where it's the same, like country and capital in the same row, but that's okay. That's randomized. Let's continue. Let's create a new state now, and we're going to call it selected country, and set selected country. Why I placed two sets, I don't know. And that one is also going to be use state, where we are going to put our, it can even be, we don't need selected country, it can be a selected match, because we are going to select both country and capital by clicking on our country. So that one is going to be also type of match, or null, because we have our case when nothing is selected, like now, and by default that state is going to be null. So that one is going to be set when we click on this row of buttons of our countries. So on click, we're going to set selected match as this current match here. So now currently when we click on the USA, we have as the selected match USA and Washington DC as our match. If we click Germany, we have Germany and Berlin. So next thing we need to do is when we click on Germany, we need to put this button as active, and then we need to check the match of the city that we clicked. So to do that, we are going to create a new function and call it handle capital click, because that click is going to happen when we click on the capital button. So there we're going to have match from that row, and we need to check if this match equals this selected match. So if match equals selected match, then that means that we are right. So that is going to happen when we click on USA and then Washington DC. So this is the winning condition. In this moment, we need to save our match somewhere. So we are going to create a complete new state, which we are going to call paired data. So that means that we are going to save here all of our paired matches. So this one we need to put here new paired match, and that is going to be equal to our old pair data, and we are going to put there our match, and we are going to set pair data to the new paired match, and below we are going to reset our selected match, and we are going to put null. Now, just to put that handle capital click here on click on these buttons from our capitals, so handle capital click, and we're going to send match from here, from our map of shuffled match data. So now here we should get our paired data. So when we console log our paired data here, and here I'm going to do a couple of refresh, and when we try to match USA and Washington, okay, now it's empty. I think that's okay. Let's try another one. And yes, that one is okay. So now we have in each iteration our update of our paired matches. So now we can actually do conditioning for the buttons to change the colors and to disable them based on our paired data state. I'm just going to create a simple condition is matched, which is going to receive the match again, and that is just going to check in the pair data if sum of our matches equals to, so let's just call it a little bit different. It doesn't need to be always match. Let's call it paired match, and there we need to have paired match that equals to the match that we are receiving from here. And like this, we're going to know if our data is paired or not, matched or not from our pairs here. So we can use this is matched here, for example. I'm going to put it here so we can change this. It should be like this, the quotes, so we can use our dynamic classes in Tailwind, and I'm going to put here if is matched with this match, then put the background color to be green 500, and if not, we should use this that we already have, background gray 500. So now let's try to match it, USA and Washington. Nice, that one is looking great. So we need to put the same thing on our city here. So first, again, creating different quotes, and then I'm going to put the is matched. So now when we choose UK and London, we are getting matched colors for these matches. Great, looking good for now. We need to improve our user experience a little bit. For example, the capitals shouldn't be clickable when we don't have our country selected. So that one is going to be easy. We're just going to say that this button is disabled in case that selected match equals to null. So now this shouldn't be clickable, but it still looks clickable. So we need to put all these hover animations and everything inside the additional condition. So that one is going to be the same. So if selected match equals not equals to null, in that case we are going to put all these classes. So now it looks dead, but we can add a little bit more. So we can put something like this. So on the other side, we're going to put cursor and what's it called? It's something like forbidden or something like that. Pointer, wait, text, not allowed. I think that's the one. Yes. So now it's a little bit better in terms of user experience. And also, if we select USA, it should be active. So we should know that we selected that part. So we're going to put there if selected match equals to the current match. In that case, we can put background gray 900, for example. So if we select USA, that one is selected. Great. If we click Washington, D.C., it's green. So we have our match. Also for London, France, Germany, and Japan. Everything is working nicely. So the last thing we miss is the you win message that should be on top. That one should be also easy peasy. So we are going to create just a new condition here. We can just call it win, and we are going to check if our paired data length equals to our pre-matched data length. So this one is great because it's flexible. Whatever the amount of countries and capitals we receive from our potential backend is going to check always if our pair data just equals to our pre-matched data length. So now we can just put here a simple h2 where we are going to say you win. We need fragments here. That's what currently React is complaining about. So we have here you win. It pushed everything down. I'm just going to put absolute on that one. And I'm going to put the text green 500, and I'm going to be lazy. And here I'm going to put just margin of 10. So now this one is just going to be conditioned. If win, then we are just going to write this h2 and we can test it out. Let's try it out. So I'm matching. Let's refresh again. USA to Washington, UK to London, France to Paris, Germany to Berlin, and Japan to Tokyo. And I win! Great! Just in case, let's check what happens if we press USA and then London, for example. Nice! It's just resetting our data, and this one is working. Great! This was one interesting React challenge, and the next thing I would do, that's the reason why I did this in Next.js and not just in React, is I would like to implement database backend in Next.js through Drizzle and TRPC. And then we wouldn't even need use effect because we would shuffle the data before in the backend and it would be served to our front end. We could even create some kind of Wordle game, if you know that one, where you can daily match the data from the left side to the data on the right side. Of course, this matching game doesn't need to be only with countries and cities, it can be also with movies and actors, or with games and game characters, or whatever else you can imagine. Tell me in the comments below, what do you think about that? That project would be really interesting to work on, and maybe it would be interesting to you too.